Today we are here to talk about a very serious and upsetting issue. You may have been triggered as soon as you heard this news. Spider-Man is set to leave the MCU! I know, it's devastating. If you're not up to date on this news yet, let me get you there. You probably already know the beginning, so I won't bother you with another origin story, wink wink. Sony owns Spider-Man, who had been given on loan to Disney, where Disney was allowed to take 5% of the profits. The loan's contract came to a close after the film Far From Home came out, which meant it was time for Disney and Sony to sit down and have a little chat about what would be the best way for them to both profit from their prodigal son, Peter Parker. Disney was pushing for a 50-50 split on co-financing with Sony, meaning they would both split down the middle the costs and profits for future Spider-Man films. This mic drop left Sony dumbfounded and refusing what they felt was a ludicrously unfair deal. Which, to be fair, money-wise, it kinda is. Let's explore the money side a bit more as we get counting. Number 10. The money. So here's the thing, when it comes to finances, a lot of people are on Sony Pictures' side for this one, and I get it. Spider-Man isn't just any superhero. He was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko to be one of the most human and relatable. He is by far the most popular superhero that Marvel has on their roster, which makes him worth a lot of money. Disney sitting down and demanding 50% of that, even while putting in all the legwork of making the film as amazing and profitable as it is, seems like a big ask. But at the end of the day, if Sony takes over Spider-Man, who knows how well the film will do. Ultimately, with Disney's team, they almost have a guarantee of profits. Taking this franchise back into their own fold, as we have seen before, could lead to disaster. Disney and Marvel losing their most popular hero is bad. Sony gaining creative control is also bad. If the two stay together, they get the best chance to make ultimately the most profit. If they break up, no one profits, including us, the fans. Number 9. Spider-Man and Venom. While on paper this sounds objectively cool, and in the comics, Spider-Man and Venom team-ups and fights have been pretty awesome, the end of the Venom movie starring Tom Hardy started leading us down a pretty direct path. That path led us straight to San Quentin Prison, where it turns out Cleet Cassidy is being kept. Who's Cleet Cassidy? A brutal, cruel serial killer who is transformed into Carnage when he gets a symbiote of his own, and wreaks havoc pretty much everywhere. You know what I'm talking about, the famous Maximum Carnage event of the 90s. While there are some who are not fans of this event in the comics, I actually don't dislike it, and the idea of Venom and Spider-Man teaming up to try and take down Carnage seems like it would be kinda cool to see on screen, right? But what if Carnage stays cast as Woody Harrelson? Don't get me wrong, Harrelson is a freaking brilliant actor, but really? Carnage? Really? Ugh. Also, do we really want to see that CGI Venom and Spider-Man share a screen? Ugh. Is the Spider-Man Venom mashup worth it at this point? Number 8. His suits. The suit doesn't make the man. Unless maybe you're Spider-Man. Spider-Man has come a long way in the MCU when it comes to his suits. From his homemade suit, to the first suit Iron Man gave him, to Iron Spider, to his stealth suit, to the suit he made for himself using Stark's private jet mini lab. We have seen a great evolution when it comes to Spider-Man's looks. With his most recent suit being so linked to Tony Stark, that suit will have to be permanently tucked away in Peter Parker's closet when it comes to the MCU-Sony divide. Or whatever is left of the suit, I suppose, after it caught fire so many times in Far From Home. Anyways, still, what will happen to his other suits? I'm not even sure what the ins and outs or how deep what is considered Disney property versus Sony property go. In my mind, there could be a possibility that Spider-Man will in fact need an entire new wardrobe. Or maybe he'll just return to his homemade basics? I don't know. Number 7. Uncle Happy. So Happy Hogan has had a hell of a time lately in the MCU. From being Stark's right-hand man throughout the Iron Man film franchise, to being forced to being a sort of babysitter for Peter in Homecoming, to losing Stark in the MCU events of Endgame, and to then perhaps forging some complex romantic relationship with Aunt May in Far From Home. To separate him from Spider-Man just seems downright cruel to the character. Like, he and May just started a thing. Granted, the two view the relationship a little differently, but Give Hogan a break. Losing Stark was hard on him, and he is just starting to really connect with Peter. What will he do if Spider-Man leaves the MCU? Try to find another new Avenger best bud? Ah, poor dude. And beyond happy, how many other characters will Parker be forced to lose from his life because of their close connection to the MCU and other Avengers? Will we get a new MJ? Will Ned also be coming to Sony? What happens to them? Number 6. Avi Arad versus Kevin Feige. Based on my understanding of the creative powerhouses behind both Sony and Disney, I would think a lot of the characters mentioned will not get to come along for the ride at Sony Pictures. Avi Arad is the bigwig superhero movie producer over at Sony Pictures, who reportedly pushed for Into the Spider-Verse, possibly one of the best superhero movies out there. Maybe even one of the best movies out there, I don't know. However, he also pushed for Venom, which, while successful, was only subpar as far as comic-inspired films go. Arad is also the person some blame for the failure of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man franchise, which was doing pretty well until number 3. Arad is known for being a control freak who doesn't listen to suggestions well, even if they are coming from Disney's superhero-producing bigwig Feige. In the case of the original Spider-Man films of the early 2000s, he actually forced Sam Raimi to rewrite the script for Spider-Man 3, forcing him to include Venom in the supervillain lineup, which was a big part of what was wrong for that movie, I think. And Disney has insinuated that if Sony continues down their path, Kevin Feige will be too busy to help with their new Spider-Man installment. Not that Avi Arad would probably want him there anyways, so. Number 5. Team-ups. How long have we waited for the potential introduction of the Fantastic Four in the MCU, or for Deadpool to officially join the superhero blockbuster crew? For what feels like forever, right? And just when it looked like we might get to see Spider-Man and Deadpool meet for the first time, bromance, or Spider-Man work alongside the Fantastic Four team like he did in the 60s and has throughout comic book history, even replacing Johnny Storm with the team in the Fantastic Foundation, they take him away from us. Why? We were so close. So close. It feels unfair. I want my Spider-Man Deadpool team up. Please, Sony and Disney, do not keep it from me. Number 4. Norman Osborn. Many people have speculated that Norman Osborn will be the new big bad of the next phase of the MCU films. With Disney and Marvel setting up the story for Spider-Man to step into the spotlight, this all seemed very probable. That there have been a number of going-ons in the MCU that people have taken to be signs pointing to Oscorp in their head getting ready to make a grand entrance. The purchasing of Stark Tower and not yet having an explanation for Parker's origins being mentioned as a few of the potential cues for Norman's entrance. Beyond that, Sony was working on a film called Silver and Black, which has since been scrapped, where they actually wanted to have Norman Osborn appear, but they were asked by Marvel and Disney to limit his appearance in the film as voice only, so they could be in charge of casting the role if they did want to add him to the MCU, leading some to believe that this meant they did want to add him to the MCU and that they had other plans for the Green Goblin. This would obviously be amazing news in the MCU, as it could lead to the Dark Avengers. What? However, with the split coming, what will Norman Osborn's role in the MCU be? It would seem like an odd choice to even have him appear. Iconic Spidey villain that he is, without, you know, Spider-Man. Number 3. Box office numbers. Back to the money again, just for a moment. Which, let's be honest, is kind of what this disagreement all boils down to. Dollar bills. And a lot of them. Far From Home grossed just over $1 billion at the box office. Yeah, that's a lot of money. This made the last Spider-Man film the highest grossing Spider-Man film of all time. Just in Spider-Man, but still, pretty big deal. And it also made it Sony Pictures' highest grossing film ever. Yeah, that's right. Spider-Man knocked out James Bond, who formerly held number 1 with the film Skyfall. If Sony wants to continue to see this kind of success, they kind of need the MCU. Spider-Man didn't just do this because he was Spider-Man, it was his story, his journey that allowed him to do this. If both Disney and Sony want to see his saga continue and continue to see Spider-Man break box office records and be mind-bogglingly profitable, they need to try to stay together. Number 2. Tom Holland? Many argue that Tom Holland is the only person who can really play Spider-Man. And fair. While Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire both did a great job in their respective Spider-Man roles, no one has nailed that perfect balance of cool, witty, but still very awkward and dweeby like Holland. So when people heard the news of Spider-Man being out of the MCU, they were understandably worried. But here's the deal, Tom Holland has signed on for 2 more Spider-Man standalone films, which means that there's a very good chance that we will get to see him reprise the role. Unless, and this is a pretty probable unless, Sony does what they usually do, and they hit restart. While this seems unlikely given that Sony Pictures seems to be trying to reassure people that they aren't gonna mess it up, we are all sitting here thinking, you're gonna mess it up, aren't you? Even if they keep Tom Holland in the role, who knows who they plan to have directing him as Spider-Man, or who's gonna write the script. That could also completely change the entire character and ruin not just the character for us, but also for Tom Holland. And we might end up getting, another origin story. Number 1. Tony Stark. At the end of Phase 1 of the MCU franchise, Marvel and Disney beautifully set up the story for Spider-Man to take the place of our fallen hero, Tony Stark. Stark left Spider-Man with Edith, even dead I'm the hero, tech that is built into a pair of glasses which give Spider-Man control over satellites all over the world, and allow him to do a ton of cool things, including almost accidentally deploy drones to kill his high school rival in Far From Home, Brad. With great power comes great responsibility, still being a belief that slipped into this new story without us even really ever needing an Uncle Ben. The exploration of Stark and Parker's mentorship-like relationship really allowed us to explore that idea and question what it really means to be a hero in the Far From Home film. To strip Parker of Stark at this point is ultimately stripping him of the character he has grown and evolved to become throughout his journey in the MCU. And that would be just wrong. Thanks for watching, Nerd Squad. Be sure to share your feels and your thoughts when it comes to this issue in the comments below. How do you feel about Spider-Man leaving the MCU? Should it happen or should it not happen? Let us know what you think. I personally hope that Sony and Disney can sit back down and come to some kind of agreement, because Spider-Man without the MCU to me feels like Spider-Man without a home. We had Homecoming, Far From Home, and if we continue on solely with Sony, it feels like we might just get Spider-Man Home Alone for like the next film. As always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell on the way down to the comments section. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.